Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today I want to talk about our new website. So before I discuss this, I want to go back through a bit of my history. So I did IT in university. I did Bachelor of Science in IT. I was one of the top students in the IT field. There was 330 students in our IT group that graduated, and I was probably top 10, top 5 in the class. So I was pretty good at IT, and that's not me putting tags on myself. That was my strength, right? So that's why I did IT. In my professional life, I used to write IT systems for Social Security and the Department of Health. I worked in health in hospitals. I used to write IT systems for hospitals, right? So I've done a fair bit of IT stuff and IT systems. I've written my IT systems for my archery shop, and I've done them for other people, right? Saying that, life's moved on because I used to be 20 and now I'm 54, right? So IT's moved on a lot and it's changed a lot. So I want to talk about some of the issues because customers, I get all the time from customers, well, you should be able to do that. It's like, this stuff is not simple, and people's ignorance kind of frustrates me that people are so ignorant. Right? And they're so cruel because it's like they don't know what's involved. And then sometimes I feel like saying, well, you should do it. You should have an archery shop because it's not simple. And if you understood what's involved, then you'd understand the processes. And they don't listen. They just lecture at you how you should do stuff, right? So I want to talk about setting up a website and the whole thing with business because I just don't think it's as simple as people make out, right? So to start with, I'm going to go back when I set up an archery shop years and years ago, right? So years and years ago, I'm just moving around my archery shop so you can see the size of it. So when I was starting, I'm in IT, I'm programming, I'm doing stuff on fraud, and I'm in the archery club because I like doing archery. That's my history, right? I'm the club coach, I'm into archery, right? So anyway, I wanted to sell some archery gear to help out people in the club so they get set up right and basically they don't get rubbish because it's just a nightmare and people just give up the sport unless they've got the right setup. That was my history. I didn't want to sell archery gear. So I get from people all the time, well, you should do this. It's like, I didn't want to sell archery gear. I kind of did this because it was something to help people. And I thought, well, I should do it because no one else is going to do it. I'll just move that around. So that was my history, and I'm going to go back to where it was before. So that's why I had the shop. So when I set up, I had very little money. I was very, very poor. I'm going to say I came to Canberra with a $500 car that was broken down, that really didn't get to Canberra, and that was the extent of my wealth. Okay? So a $500 old hunker that was pretty much broken. I get to Canberra, I didn't have a fridge, I had nothing, right? So I was like, I used to eat sausages basically every night for dinner. And there's healthier things I could have eaten, there's just my lack of knowledge at that time, right? So anyway, so how I started an archery shop is I got in a couple of bows, a couple of arrows, and then I sold it to people at the clubs. And I would get in a bow and hope it would sell. And then as you build up your stock levels, so as you build up more and more stuff, then you take phone calls and people come around and they buy stuff because you've got the stuff in stock. The bigger you get, the more people that come to you. Okay, so generally as a rule of thumb, if you don't have stock, people won't come there because you don't have it, and they'll go where the stuff is. So the more stuff you have, the more likely people will come to you. So there's a ratio about how much you sell versus how much stock you have, right? But I won't go into that. So originally when you start off, you'll take phone orders for stuff. Hey Stephen, do you have some gold tip 55, 75s in stock? Can you send those out to me? And you go, yeah, sure, right. So that's the way your business starts. And then you start off with a little website, which is what I started off with in my 20s. I thought about writing the website for myself. I didn't because it was like, well, how much money am I going to make from having a website versus just buying one off the shelf in a box, right? There was various options and I chose an option which I stuck with for about 30 years, right? So we're going to talk about all that. So basically life was simple. I didn't have a lot of stuff, and basically when I earned money in the public service in my role, I would buy stock. So all my money I earned in my job got poured back into my business. So every dollar that I earned got poured back into my business to buy more and more stock. Okay? So basically I'm working just to buy stock. Remember, I don't want to have an archery shop. Okay, I'm saying that. Anyway, grows and grows and grows. So I get a website and then you get more traffic in, taking less phone calls, and people are like, well, I don't want to really place an order on the website. I don't trust the website. There's a whole bunch of people who have computers, so they want to take phone orders. But you can't grow with taking phone orders because it consumes your time because you're on the phone. So you've got to think about that, right? So it's all about time management. I can't stress it enough, right? So it's about how much can one staff member sell in a week to cover their wages? Because it's no good here just being on the help desk on the phone and you're not selling anything, okay? Which is what PSE had. PSE had a help desk and basically it wasn't making any money for them, so they got rid of that, right? Because most of my stuff, when I say most of my stuff, a large proportion of my business is taking phone calls and just answering people's questions, which is why I started doing YouTube videos. Okay, so internet, website. So we were having problems with our website. And the problems we had was Google was saying your security certificate is not up to date. We had problems with stock management, which we're going to go into in here. And yeah, we had problems with shipping. So my shipping costs per month was about $10,000 a month, just in Australia Post. So $10,000 a month, just Australia Post. And then we've got other freight systems as well. But freight is a huge component of my cost of running my business. And you'll say, well, that's okay because you charge people $10,000. No, I think that's the problem. I wasn't charging people $10,000. I might have been charging them $4,000 and getting charged $10,000. So there was a problem between what people were getting charged and the cost. And there's going to be various reasons for that, which we're going to go into. So just on freight, because we've got a new freight system on this new system, which actually integrates into the freight system, so the freight will be exact on price. So if you get charged $10, it's actually $10, so I won't lose money on freight. And hopefully it's more accurate. So we were having quotes of like, let's say $15 for express post and actually being $50 in express post. And then you ring up the person and you go, look, the problem is the website quoted you $15 for express post, but it's actually $55, and they then get shitty at you because your website should be accurate and it's not, and literally that's 50% of your phone calls is like, oh, the freight's wrong. Okay, so hopefully the new system fixes up the freight problem because it actually integrates in with freight companies. But we're going to go into freight problems with websites. So as we do this, I'm going to explain stuff. So if you ship this one arrow to a person because they order one arrow, it cubes out at about 3 kilos because of the size of the box. If you order 12 arrows, it's still 3 kilos. Okay, so we've got a problem because if a person orders 12 of these one arrows, you go, well, this weighs 3 kilos because you can't have it weighing a tenth of 3 kilos, weighing 300 grams, because you order one, you only get charged 300 grams, and it's going to cost you 3 kilos. So 3 kilos by express post to rural, nowhere in Australia, might be $45. 300 grams might be $10, right? So it's a big cost difference because you don't make this money on one arrow shaft. Now, if you order 12 shafts, it's 3 kilos. But the problem is if you order 12 individual shafts, it's going to go 12 times 3, 36 kilos. Now that applies to lots of items in my shop. Target faces over here are classic because one target face you might say is, let's say, 200 grams, but you ship a big 122 centimeter target face, it's going to be, let's say, 3 kilos because of the mass weight. Now you can fold it all up and then the customer's going to be shitty at you because it's been folded up to try and consume 300 grams worth of space. Or if you roll it, it's a metre long. Australia Post won't take a metre long, so then you fold it in half, customer gets shitty with you. But if you order a roll of 50 of them, then you know what the weight is. You know a roll of 50 has to go by a normal freight service. It can't go by Australia Post because it's too big and too bulky. Now, here is all target butts. A lot of these cannot get shipped with Australia Post because they're too big or too heavy. Same applies with cases down here that you'll see. They cube out at about 35, 40 kilos. Australia Post will not take them because they only take up to 20 kilos. They only take up to 1 metre in size. They can't take longbows and all that. So generally what happens, a person orders a longbow which weighs 3 kilos, but Australia Post won't take it because it's limited to 1 metre. How do you incorporate all this intelligence into shipping? The answer is it's very, very hard. Okay? What do you do when a person orders a foam target which weighs 40 kilos? Because Australia Post and Aeromax will only take 20 kilos and they've just ordered 10 of them. How do you calculate the freight for that? So this is a real problem with building a website to calculate the cost of freight. Now I haven't even gone into the problems with getting stock numbers correct. Okay, but we'll go into that. So the problem with getting stock numbers correct is when stock comes in, let's say 10 items come in, then hopefully 10 items sell. The problem was our website and our walk-in sales didn't really talk to each other, right? So therefore, if someone walked in and said, I want to grab this second-hand bow, it may be on the website, but we haven't taken off the system because we're busy and we just forgot to, and then it's still on the website and then a person goes, oh, I want to buy that bow, but it's already been sold because a customer walked in. Now, it's more confusing than that because when a shipment comes in, let's say a shipment of PSE come in, and let's say there's 10 bows, 3 of those bows may be on order for customers. So you can't just plug in the 10 bows on the system and say you've got 10 bows because 3 of them are pre-sold. So you can only put in the bows onto your stock management system that are for stock and not for customers. And how do you know that? It's very, very hard to know, right? So with stock management, it's very, very hard. Now, the problem with our new system, so we're using Shopify on our new system. So it's a big system and incorporates lots of big companies use Shopify. Most companies will use Shopify. It's got lots of little add-ins, which I don't know how it all works yet. So I've got to learn this system. This takes time. So one of my staff set it up, and I can give credit to him for that. And he's going back to university, so I'm like, whoa, how am I going to know how to use this new system? So anyway, the Shopify doesn't handle retail and wholesale. It doesn't do it. It does if you spend $2,000 a month. Okay, I don't know what it looks like if you spend $2,000 a month, but I can tell you my business does not make $2,000 a month on wholesale sales in profit, let alone the cost of running the business. Okay, and if you want to understand the cost of running an archery business, 10% of your total sales is allocated to staffing, which is your total profit margin. So your total profit margin is 10%, and the cost of running your staff is 10%. Okay, so that's the archery business model. So if you can make a couple of percent either side, if you can make a percent on the positive side, that's your profit margin. You've got to take off the cost of running your business, which is insurance, accounting, rent, lighting, power, all the costs, stuff that goes wrong, you've got to cover. When the person blows up his bow and goes, I want my money back, you've got to cover that. Okay, so the margins are very, very low. If you had high margins, then you'd be okay because you could have a person managing all this stuff. But because you don't, it's a huge, huge problem for a business, and which is why it's going to be very unlikely you'll see other archery businesses open. Okay, in my view, I think you'll only see archery businesses close because the margins are so slow, so small. It's hard to get stock in. You're better to invest your money in another business. That's my view, right? So you're only going to get into archery if you love archery. If you're like, I'm a business person, I want to invest in archery, I'm like, it makes no sense, because you'd be better invest your money in other things, and I've done videos on that before. Okay, so you've brought a product from the archery shop. You come in and you go, this product's the wrong size for me. So then what you've got to do is you've got to add that back into stock on your system somehow. Now the way you do it on our new system is you have to find the sale of the person where they brought it and add it back into stock. So you've got to refund the person on that sale and then do a whole new sale for the new product they want to buy. So if they don't have the receipt, it's really, really hard to do it, because you've got to find that order to refund that item. It's very, very hard and very time consuming, especially for low cost items. So let's say an item is $5 and they're like, well, that doesn't fit, or I don't like the color. It's like the time involved to put that item back in stock, it's just there's no profit margin in it. You can't do it for the margins that are involved, right? So there's all problems with that. So there's problems in stock also with, like, let's say you cut some arrows down for a person and they don't want them, then you have problems. So you've got problems with all that. So stock management, while people go, oh, is your stock going to be accurate? I'm going to go back to a big company, like I'm going to go back to a big supermarket chains, or, you know, if you go to your American stores like Walmart and all those, they will lose millions and millions of dollars in stock every year, and you will see people walking around their stores with computers doing constant stock takes. And they're doing that because they're always out. They're always wrong. Woolworths, and I'm going to say Woolworths, it's a big chain here. There are always people going through doing constant stock taking on their shelves to see if it's right and making sure it's right, because it's always wrong. So it doesn't matter how big your store is or how small your store is, stock management is always hard. So when people go, oh, you should be able to do that, look, it'd be nice. It would be nice, but it's not that simple. In my store, I have, I think, about 5,000 products, and then I have the SKUs. And what the SKUs are is all the variations of a product. So if I pick a product, which I just did today, and we'll just walk here so you understand this. So today I was doing Elite. Okay, so I was putting all the Elite stock numbers up. So here is, behind me is all my Elites, and just there is a whole bunch of Elite Verdicts. It's an Elite target bow. I have, from memory, about 16 Verdict target bows in stock, so about $36,000 worth of target bows in stock. In SKUs, in variations of that bow, there is poundage of 40, 50, 60, 65 pounds. There may be a 70 pounds, so there's 4 versions. There's left and right, so that makes 8. And there's, like, let's say 16 colors. There is over 100 SKUs, variations of that one product. So to manage that bow, that one product in SKUs, I think I had 14 variations of the possible 200 variations in stock, if that makes sense. Some of them I've got doubled up. So in the Mountain Tan Verdict in 60 pound right-handed, I think I had 3. Okay, because I thought that would be a popular color, or I ordered it a couple of times for the same person. I don't know. But it's worse than that. It's worse than that, because if you're doing, I'm sorry about the colors, but all the screens, because I don't have the lights on. So behind me here is the feathers. So spin wings. Let's just go to a type of vane. Let's go spin wings. Spin wings do 3 sizes, maybe more. They do left and right and all the various colors. So for one type, one product, spin wing, you have 3 variations of size, you have 2 variations of hand type, and you have about 6 colors. It's a lot of stock management to do. It's a lot of counting to do of the products, because literally there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And you look through the store and you go, look at all the different colors of all the different types of quivers. in store, all the different bows in store. It's like, so when we imported from one system to from our, just trying to get the color right again. Yep. So when we imported from our existing system into the new system, the stock numbers weren't correct because it's got all the variants which didn't import well. Okay, so you've got to go through and manually update them. Now, for me to do just the verdict bow today, to put them all online, to get the stock numbers to be accurate, took me about 3 hours. So 3 hours time for one product to put 16 items on the website. During that time, I got a whole bunch of questions to answer, and people are like, why doesn't this work? Why doesn't that work? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Now, also on freight, I'm just going to go into, so if you ordered a hard case, like behind me here, it might be 30 kilos, but if you order stuff to put inside it, then we can put stuff inside it and reduce the cost of freight. So it's not, it's a more complex solution than what people often think it is. And people get frustrated because they're like, well, your website says this, and it's like, I'm just doing my best. I'm just doing my best. And some people get it. Anyone who's got a business understands it 100%. But then, like, a lot of people are snappy and angry about it. So, I mean, we always offer to refund people's money if they're unhappy, for any reason. So, but anyway, that's it. Now on the new website, understanding a new website takes time. I don't know how to shrink the images down correctly yet. I don't know how to get the themes being how I want them yet. So while I'll shoot, I'll have videos on telling me how to do stuff. I'll have professionals on YouTube telling me how to do stuff, because that's what I'll have. So in my background, or when I drive a car, I'll have podcasts explaining how to do stuff to me. And then hopefully some of it will sink in, and I'll become more of an expert on that product. So, but as a small business starting off in an archery store, it's a problem because these systems, you don't have to just be good at archery or have money to invest in a store. You've got to know IT solutions. You've got to research all this. You've got to find all the add-ons that you need for your products, because the Shopify product doesn't do everything you need it to. You've got to buy all these little add-on bits to make the product work. So, yeah, so that's where we're up to with our new website. So hopefully I can have some pictures up of what the new website looks like. But it's not simple. And I'm going to say, as a business owner, I don't know you have a lot of options. I think you almost have to bite the bullet and do it, or go for a solution that is simpler and have a simpler solution and just go, well, I can't afford this expensive solution because there's so much time required to do it. And I don't have that time because I'm serving customers. So back in my dad's day, when my dad had a store, he was basically a one-person operation or a two-person operation. He would not have had time to build a website, to update the website, to put all the stock figures in, to manage it all, because you're busy dealing with customers who walk in all the time. And each customer might spend 2 to 3 hours with you, so you don't get time to do the other stuff. So anyway, hopefully it's given you a bit of background, and if you've got a business, hopefully my story is similar to yours, because I try and do these videos to give you a bit of background, because I think people think life is simple, and it's not. And a lot of businesses have a budget for this stuff because they have margins. So one of my family's got a business and they have a website. They have a website person who just does their website. That's all they do. But my family doesn't make any money from the website. So they lose money on their website. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why'd you got a website if you lose money from it every single year? For the past 15 years, you've lost money on your website because your staff costs exceed your profit margin for your website. It doesn't make any sense to me. Not to mention the cost of owning the website, which is so much per year anyway. But anyway, hopefully that's clear, and the reasons why we changed, and hopefully it's beneficial, and hopefully sales pick up from it. But we've still got a long way to go with it. And I'm going to say, with everything in archery or anything in life, it's all about work. The more you work at something, the more successful you'll be, the luckier you'll be, the more things will happen. If you sit on your ass and watch TV, nothing's going to happen to your life. I can't stress it enough. If you go outside and walk and run or shoot a bow, you will become stronger, and becoming stronger means you'll be more stable, and means your scores will improve. It means things will improve, but it requires effort. The more effort you put in, the more success you'll have. I can't stress it enough. I work all the time. Doesn't help my personal life, but this is what I do. Okay, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching. Bye.